After I watched the BB Files, I got curious to what other films Alexis Bloom, the director, had done since, well, she's probably not going to be working in Hollywood a lot after this, after the BB Files. I mean, Arnon Milchan is not going to be hiring her, I don't think, and probably not allowing her to do lunch in town anymore. But anyway, I happened to see that she directed a movie called Catching Fire, the Anita Pallenberg story. And I was looking at IMDb, as getting all these great reviews, and okay, I'll watch that since it's on Hulu, and I got Hulu. So I looked at last night, Catching Fire, the Anita Pallenberg story. I'll run down what I saw kind of in the documentary and then offer my analysis afterwards. So we start out, we meet this young woman who I guess is of a German extraction, who is a model, and she meets up with goes to see the Rolling Stones and meets up with the Rolling Stones, and she gets involved with Brian Jones first, and then Brian Jones, you know, they're very close and they have a great loving relationship at the outset. But Brian Jones is like kind of cracking up, according to this story. I don't know. I'm not somebody who knows anything about the Rolling Stones. I should say that. I mean, you know, I'm of course aware of them and have heard their hits and all that, but I'm not a Rolling Stone fan. Matter of fact, I think they're kind of like, you know, bar band grade that got a little, well, I'll go into that part a little bit later. So she and Brian, you know, Brian's taking a lot of drugs, and this is right in the mid-60s, and then he's taking more drugs, and he's taking all these prescription things he's getting, and he's, you know, cracking up, and then he's kind of abusing her and hitting her and stuff like that, according to this thing. And then he gets put in some sort of institution or something, but then the Rolling Stones are on their way somewhere to hang out, and so Anita just decides to, you know, leave Brian wherever he is in the hospital or something, and go on. I think they were going to Tangier or something at that point. So she continues on this voyage via automobile through France and Spain onto Morocco, and you know, tells Keith that you know, she'll just leave Brian back there, and then of course she and Keith begin to hook up, and Keith Richards is going to ultimately be her main relationship. So she gets into some movies. So she's in some early movie I never saw, and then she's in Performance, which is, I saw Performance 50 years ago, whatever, and I was I sort of shrugged. It was not, you know, maybe I should watch it again. I don't know, but I didn't think much of it at the time. So we see some scenes from Performance, and that has Mick Jagger, who is also a Rolling Stone, of course, and in it, acting for the first time. And she was experienced acting because she'd acted in some other things. And so she, you know, they have to do these bed scenes in the documentary. She talks about how they have to be in bed for like 3 days or something to get two minutes of film. So, eventually she's screwing Mick a little bit, but she wasn't really into Mick, wasn't attracted to Mick really. It was really Keith that, Keith was shy, she says. The whole setup is that there has been found this typed manuscript among her things after she dies. She dies at age 75 in 2017. So among her stuff, there's this, manuscript, this autobiography. I don't know how long it is, but so they have an actress read an actor read the autobiography in a very standard American accent. Shouldn't she have a little bit of a German Euro accent or something? I don't know. Anyway, we hear her side of these stories in this thing that she wrote toward the end of her life, last 10 years or whatever, I don't know. So they go. Stones are in trouble with certain drug busts or something. So they end up in let's see. That was south of France. Oh, they were in the south of France for a while. This is when Exile on Main Street was being recorded at a big house, and she's talking about how all these people are coming to the house, and basically there's not that many women around, and this is really very old school, pre-feminist or just not rock star world. So the women have to take care of that stuff. So she's dealing with all these people. There's hangers-on all over the place, people that come to play in this album, all that. They're recording an album in this house, this Exile on Main Street album, which I don't think I ever really listened to all the way through. I guess it has some hits on it. So she talks about, she had to kick people out of the place, and she's become pregnant before that, and she has this kid. She has a kid that they named Marlon. After Marlon Brando, because Brando had called Keith that day or something. This is what goes on with celebrity stuff. Like, Brando never called me. I don't know. So they have this kid, and an interesting part of of that thing. That was kind of the most interesting part of the doc in a way, because it talks about how she was basically the house mother of this frat house kind of rock star scene, and they're both, she and Keith are all starting to get into heroin at this point. So they're both kind of hooked on heroin, or indulging in heroin, however you want to phrase it. They're heroin users habitually. So, and an interesting part of that is that we hear from some of the grown now children who were there at that scene. There's this guy, Jake, what's his name? Yeah, Jake Weber, who talks on camera. And Jake Weber, his dad was like a drug supplier or something. So he was down at the France house with his dad, while his mom was off in an insane asylum somewhere, and his mom died while he was there with the Stones. And he talks about that Anita was nice and took care of the kids and so forth. And also we hear from Marlon Richards, who is, 50-something now. So he talks too. And he was quite interesting. He was very, very deadpan, very non-emotional in his, he's not an actor, I guess. I don't know what he does, but in this, he was very, kind of matter of fact about it all, and kind of like, well, this is what these people were doing, and it was kind of like he was kind of over it all, and basically telling us how he had like horrible parenting. So between those two, they tell us that there's absolutely really no structure. There's no like bedtime or anything like that. Everybody, we see images of the kids kind of crashed on the couch beside, whatever the adults who are also crashed out on heroin or whatever. So, it goes on from there, and they end up having to go to Switzerland because that's the only place they could stay after being busted in France. So they're kind of on the run a little bit, and then inexplicably from there he's going on tour. I don't know how that, something that got straightened out. I don't know, whatever. But so there's this time in Switzerland that they spend in Switzerland, and that's quite nice. It's in the ski village, and Marlon talks about how his parents would go skiing. They'd shoot up heroin and then go skiing, and so as it goes on, some really bad things. There's a second child who was born, a daughter. What's her name? Abby something. Look it up here. Angela Richards. So there's this daughter, and the daughter ends up getting kind of, as the scene kind of gets more fried and frayed, the daughter gets shipped off to Granny's. So Marlon was talking about that. I said, well, then my sister, I was really excited to have a sister, and did for a while, and then she got shipped off to grandmother's house. Then there's all this other weird stuff that goes on later. They end up getting to live in upstate New York somewhere. So Marlon starts going to like regular schools and has this nanny who apparently is treating him quite nicely. And mom still like screwed up with drugs or whatever, and she starts getting involved with one of the locals, young local guy. Keith's always going on tour and so forth. Keith, when she started having the kids, she was an actress and everything. She sort of had her own career, and Keith wanted her to be, didn't want her to work anymore. He said, I will give you the money so you don't have to work anymore. And she said, well, it was not about the money. It was about, doing something, for myself, expressing myself, doing something, but oh no, you got to stay home, and no more of this. So she kind of it's expressed partly by Marlon, and I guess in the text of the book she wrote, that she was pissed off, and then took more heroin because she was pissed off at being trapped at home while he's running all around the country for months. All the world in what she referred to as the corporation, as it became, the Stones became basically this corporate big money entity, I guess in the 70s. So when she was hooking up with these locals, she has another kid up there who dies in 10 weeks old or something of crib death. So then there's maybe I should have been watching the kid better or something. So she's guilty about the kid, the new third child, boy child, dying. And then there's this other horrible thing in that she's watching The Deer Hunter with the local guy she's friends with, whatever they're doing. And the local guy, I have never watched The Deer Hunter, but there's a scene with Russian roulette where you spin the gun and take your chances. So apparently, watching the movie, and this guy thinks he will do this himself. Apparently, quite loaded on something, whatever. So he blows his brains out, and he's dead. So in their room there. So she's freaking out, running around. Marlon, who's like kind of what preteen or something at that point, or teen, has to go up and get rid of all the crap, like the syringes and the drug paraphernalia, because the cops are going to be coming. So Anita really crashes after that. She's in bad shape. Ultimately, she sobers up after a while and goes in AA and becomes this icon of the culture and is friends with Kate Moss and so forth. Of course, has the ability to bounce back because she's part of the Rolling Stones empire, so forth. So she's famous and has access to money through that, and so she doesn't have like a normal life that's like if you or I were addicted to heroin and we sobered up, we probably wouldn't have this glorious celebrity kind of life after that and be in film still, as this old lady. But she did. So that's kind of what the movie is about, and what I thought about when I was watching it. It was like I just thought about the structure that brings these people to us. It was like why do I know who these people are? And it's all because of this looming, powerful and over everything corporate structure that we live under, that is all wrapped up in this technology. All this is kind of new to human history. I mean, of course, there were celebrities and actors before that, before the electrification of culture and all of that, but it all has changed a great deal in the centralization and electrification and corporatization of culture and marketing. And so that we all know about the Rolling Stones, and we all got their material. Like Rolling Stones have been on the scene since 1963 or something. When I'm an old man, right? So I was like whatever, 10 years old or 12 years old or whatever when the Rolling Stones hit. So it's like, okay, well, and they're still out there at 81 years old, at least Keith and and Mick doing their thing. So I just thought about that and how all these people, they're struggling in this new thing. They're living in this new structure. They're not a natural situation that they are this well known, this rich from just the being in this band, all this access to power and celebrity, and it freaks people out. They don't necessarily feel entitled to all, well, I'm just a guy that plays guitar, and all of a sudden I've got all these people chasing me around, and all this kind of hype of pop culture and so forth. So it's all just so marketed through electricity, because the Rolling Stones could not have existed 150 years ago. They would play their little guitars and so forth and singing, but they would not be heard in a football stadium, that's for sure. So all that kind of stuff where you play in a football stadium for 3 hours and have $1 million to walk away with, all that was not there. and they, could have been, kind of famous, but touring the country by train and playing little theaters and so forth, and a lot more people were involved in entertainment back in the day. And, since I've been sort of involved in the biz myself a little bit, I kind of resent how everything has been so centralized, and how the centralization just picks out certain people who are propelled to the heights, and those people, their stars dim everybody below. So we don't know about anybody else that could have been just as good as the Stones or the Beatles or whatever, although there are probably infinite numbers more. We just know of the ones who, got the magic ticket and got the eyeballs of Erdogan or whoever the corporate leaders were, and then got hyped and promoted, and all this money they spend to promote things. And television, electronic media, we have all these stars who could not, everyone sees the same show at the same time. It's a, an extreme centralization that causes all these distortions to go on in the world. Like, now we have this guy who was this sort of, sleazy businessman, son of a realtor in New York, who, after he was on a TV series for 15 years, and got to be in American homes. Thank you for welcoming into your home, and becoming this big, sitting in a nice chair and a beautiful set, looking like a real businessman, really smart and all that. And now, he's president now for the second time. So it's just, the mass culture, the electronics, the whole, of course we've seen it all rising up. It's come up before. I mean, Hitler used the radio, of course, FDR did too. All this stuff that brings this refined focus and this centralization, and this everybody else is just, not the star. Everybody else is just something else, just sort of civilians, and these people are revered as something great and wonderful, and some of them go crazy, and some of them have this sort of fucked up life with these addictions that go on for, of course everybody has these sort of problems. There's people in normal life that have these, but you can keep feeding your addiction if you have endless supply of money and so forth. So I think that's really all I have to say about that. That really I was kind of more interesting in myself, and the thoughts I had around this, is these thoughts as I've just expressed about corporate culture and the power of electricity and centralized entertainment and centralized everything. That kind of is what I started thinking of while watching this documentary. It's a good documentary if you're really interested in the Rolling Stones or whatever. You might enjoy it. I don't know. It was well crafted, and it was interesting mainly for me to hear from the boys, the children of this situation, because it's really the children who tell the tale about what went on, like children who were in Children of God, children who were in other sorts of cults, have a different view of it all and this is kind of a cult too. It's the cult of entertainment, and they were there witnessing the results of being in the center, being the star in the cult of entertainment, and what it did to their parents, and what it did to them in a certain sense, and what does it do to us.